Good afternoon. My name is Emily Stevens, and my thesis topic is on the crucial importance of parenting. In this fast-changing world, culture has lost its way with respect to parenting. More children fall victim to mental health issues now more than ever before, which is an unfortunate reality with more absent parents in the home. Throughout recent times, increased mental health problems have been blamed on a variety of factors, and when the topic is researched, it becomes clear that the new age parents are the issue. Parents are less present to their children as they are overwhelmingly distracted. Being present means being active with love, discipline, and care. Children are less likely to appropriately develop without proper parenting. A monster is described as one who terrorizes and abandons. However, the one who is perceived to be the monster is not always the one to blame. Dr. Victor Frankenstein was a brilliant scientist who knew how to create life from nothing. He was truly using science to create life. Victor's father was considered to be one of the country's greatest surgeons, yet his mother died at the hands of him. From this, Victor vowed to be exceptionally better than his father and do something he can never match. He would create life and end all suffering. Thus, his being was created, and with that, the responsibility of becoming a father. However, Victor was not impressed with the appearance that the being came with. He now believed the one he created was a mistake. Abandonment took its course. The being developed intelligence, living life as an outsider, isolated without a father who loved him. He demanded a companion to fill the void of loneliness, so he searched for Victor and surely found him, but the father still refused to take him back. The being spent his never-ending days wanting to be understood and loved by the one who gave life to him. Instead of living the life of a son, he walked through life alone. This novel, Frankenstein, offers readers insight into the idea that the one who is perceived to be the monster is not always the one to blame. The one who gave life to the being had an expected responsibility that ultimately ended with abandonment and false perception. The monster was the one who just wanted to be understood and loved by the one who chose to give life to him. Abandonment is the act of permanently leaving someone or something, often and can lead to feelings of betrayal and unworthiness and has significant emotional impact. Presence is the act of consistently showing up for someone. Parenting, as even described by the internet, is a process of raising children involving nurturing care, guidance, and support for their physical, social, emotional, and intellectual needs from infancy to adulthood. The lack of presence in parents is far too misunderstood and a bigger issue than people realize. Ted Tripp, who earned diplomas from Geneva and Philadelphia Theological Seminary College, discusses the detrimental effects of parental absenteeism in his book, Shepherding a Child's Heart. Tripp spent his professional career serving as a youth minister, pastor, conference speaker, and author. Parental absenteeism is recognized at a young age for most children. In Tripp's book, he references an example of a young girl named Tasha. Both of Tasha's parents were in her life and always there, until one day they were not. Tasha's dad started making excuses to avoid seeing Tasha so much as it resulted in him rarely being around. He avoided her so often that it often caused extreme arguments between Tasha's mom and dad, and it affected her greatly. Tasha felt feelings of hurt, betrayal, shame, and unworthiness after hearing the excuses her dad was making. She did not realize how badly her dad did not want to see her, and it affected her greatly. Tasha had to cope with the hurt for a lifetime, but that did not stop her. She learned to deal with rejection and realized that parental absenteeism was not her fault. She is a special case because most children end up dealing with extreme mental and emotional disorders from the neglect they experience at a young age. She is one of the 18.3 million children in this world who lack a father figure in the home. She now speaks at conferences to try to help as many young adults and children as she can. Her goal is to influence parents to show up and be there for their children. The main question seems to be, what falls under parental absenteeism, and is it even that big of a deal now that so many households lack a father figure? Parental absenteeism refers to the temporary or extended absence of one or more parents, whether that be from work, jail, mental illness, or death. On paper, nobody looks at the explanation of absence as positive or beneficial for any child. The only outcome is negative, seeing that children are the primary ones who suffer from this action. Although it is known that the opposition believes that parental absenteeism does not stunt the growth of a child's mental state, the idea of this is twisted and untrustworthy. If parents do not want to do the bare minimum and parent their child, then why even have one? In research and the teachings of Ted Tripp, the presence of parents is crucial for the development of children during childhood and after. While parents don't necessarily have to be ubiquitous, they must show up and be present for their children because it prevents stunning the growth of their children mentally, and parenting is a responsibility that presence is inevitably included in. Parental absenteeism hinders the development of a child's mental state. At this point, does mental health and stress levels even matter for the youth anymore? It is gathered that the answer is no, seeing that 3 million children go each year without a father figure in the home since the year 2008. Children are affected in the long run with confidence issues, a loss of drive for wanting relationships, constant worry or loneliness, attachment disorders, narcissism, and anxiety. How much does the lack of presence, how much does absence in parents really affect children? The true answer lies in the heart of the parent, the why behind neglecting their children, and the parenting style. Mental health is the biggest deal it's ever been in the world now. More mental health awareness goes out on billboards, podcasts, and social media posts exponentially more this year than it ever has. So many children are reliant on therapy to help raise them because their parents never did their job for them. Therapy is a healthy source until it's not, until parents use it as a way to do their job for them. In many cases of therapy for children, the main reason is the lack of knowledge a parent has for certain situations, or children simply need to talk with somebody. The problem is not therapy. The problem is the lack of action parents take after therapy. To defeat the problem a child has is to not give everything over to the therapist, but to simply apply the action the therapist is making. Do parents ever stop and think that the main reason their child needs therapy is because they simply aren't there for them? Parents would be surprised at the amount of stress that would be lifted off their children if they simply knew that their parent was there for them. For children to truly flourish from childhood to adulthood, parents must be active in their daily lives. This claim is known to be disputed among others and supported by the majority, but that does not mean it is the perfect solution to solving every problem a child faces growing up. From childhood specialist doctors. When caregivers are sensitive and responsive to a child's signals and needs, they provide an environment rich in serve and return responses. It is vital that showing up becomes a priority and not a sometimes occurrence. Doing the job of a parent is a responsibility, not a chore. Doing the job of a parent is being present, not absent. Does this world really need new cases of neglect? Daycare is a common form of action that parents take when they need a reliable source to watch their children. Parents that need daycare the most are typically the ones who work a stronger amount of time, so they can't be there for the children as much. A common question arises: how do parents that work a lot still make time for their children? This is a situational thing that is determined by whether both parents work a lot or just one. In the event that both parents work a substantial amount of time, it is important to establish a routine so the child knows what to expect. Not only does establishing a routine benefit the child, it also eases stress on the parent. Establishing a routine is beneficial for the child because they never have a reason to wonder when mom and dad are coming home. This leads to another point: prioritizing quality over quantity. This means establishing boundaries between work and home life. This may mean taking away phones for the night or simply just spending time with children with easing less downtime. If it is not presence, it's abandonment. There cannot and will not be a happy medium between the two. Parents can't be inconsistent and choose one day to be present with their child and the other day do not. Doing this is the opposite of establishing a routine. The recognition of this issue is the hardest part of solving the problem. Admitting to the problem and doing nothing about it is also doing nothing. There must be conviction, a call to action within the parent's heart, and for them to full-heartedly agree that being a parent requires them to be all in with their child. Parents are the bridge to developing the sons and daughters of this country. Children will eventually have the world in their hands, and in this cruel world, it is the parent's job to fully develop the child. Thank you.
I'll get started. I'd like to ask, I didn't read your whole paper, yet, but what role have the introduction of social media and smartphones being in parents' hands, and I say this as one who feels a lot of guilt about this myself, what role has that played in your understanding in the parent absenteeism?
I've learned, in my own life, when I was doing this research, I kind of put into terms of my own life, and I'm a child, how I'd want my parents to be present in my daily life. And I've learned that, especially like my dad, to put work and home life aside, so phone calls and all that, that should not be present at the dinner table or anything like that. I feel like it's you just not being there. Or if your child's talking to you and you're just on your phone, you're like, yes, That's not being present. And even if you're in the same room as your son or daughter and you're just on your phone, are you really spending quality time with them? And I would say no.
Thank you.
So Emily, I'd like to commend you on the fact that for most everybody in this room, they've had 2 years to prepare for this, and you stepped into it a little bit later. Yes? How quickly did you have to come up with a topic and decide what you were going to do, and how did you choose this topic?
Well, I found out because I had this meeting with Miss Barish over the summer after her ACT class over the summer, and that was around July, August. So I had to do all my research stuff in a 2-month span. But I got to this topic pretty quickly actually, because I believe when I look at this world today, one of the problems is the parenting, and it's really, I hate to use this word, but really cringy. Watching parents raise their children now, because it's either a competition with other parents or because they simply didn't live the life they wanted to, so they want to live through their kids, which is not right. And I believe that parents are raising their children with completely wrong ideals now, and it's just not prioritized like I believe it should be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. I'd love to hear what the best resource you read on this topic, and what are some of the biggest takeaways from that resource?
So the book I read, Shepherding a Child's Heart by Ted Tripp, that's got to be easily, out of all the articles and statistics I saw, that was the most influential book I've ever read, and I'm not even a parent. Mainly because I looked at how I was raised, and I looked at how my peers were raised, and I'm just grateful for how I was raised in a biblical standpoint. I believe that in his book, he compares it a lot to how the father and child between us and God is, and how important it is that God he's always present, he's always there, he's never not. And it's so safe feeling that you always know that God is there. And he believes it, mentions this in his book, that parents essentially should be like that. And it's not going to be perfect because we're not God by no means. But for parents to truly try and be present in their child's life, already defeats so many problems a child faces growing up.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Emily, you have a part in your paper where you talk about if a parent in the home is an alcoholic, and you address that issue, because some may say, well, what happens to a child when the parent they do have in their home is an alcoholic? What happens for that child? What did you learn? Tell us about how you wrote about that problem.
So for each big event that the opposition kind of brings up, I've kind of read that it's kind of essentially the same defeat, to establish a routine for a child. So even if a child is in foster home or something because their parent is an alcoholic, to establish a routine that child knows what's about to happen here, and here, it eases the mind, and it doesn't make them stress as much. So that defeats so many problems that child will face.
In the refutation process of your paper, what were some sources you read? Because it's hard to imagine anyone arguing that parents should not spend time with their kids. So I'm obviously people aren't writing that, but so what were some of the refutation stuff you were reading?
Well, I read a firsthand account from a young lady her name was Jody, and she dealt with an alcoholic parent, and she actually was against her parent being in the home, and because
Okay.
he was an alcoholic. And instead of, if I would believe that parent should be present, she believed that is not the case, because she believed it hindered her life more than it helped it.
Thank you.
I'm wondering, Emily, if I love this idea of being present. It's a little bit of a vague term, right? And you've given some definition to it in your paper. So there's kind of you can physically be in the same room with someone, kind of what we're talking about with like smart devices and stuff, and not actually be present as you define it. I'm kind of going on the other end of that. Have you ever heard the term helicopter parent? Like it's okay.
I have.
So a helicopter parent would be maybe one extreme of someone who's maybe a little too present. I wonder if you would help us understand what would be some distinguishing characteristics between going maybe too far to being a helicopter parent and then like landing in that sweet spot of what I think you're kind of describing. If I'm looking at this kind of spectrum of on one end I have like helicopter parent, and on the other end I have the parent who's in the same room with me but maybe is on their phone the whole time. To help me like
Okay.
flesh out that description a little bit more.
Okay, so when you're a helicopter parent, you're not really letting your child grow up or make decisions for themselves, which is also really horrible because when they hit the real world, they haven't seen any of it yet. So it's important to let your child fail in terms of making their own decisions, rather than being present for their parents. Like you can present how you feel about something, but at the end of the day, your child's going to do what they want to do, and it's important that they face the world like up front so they learn from it, so they know how to live their daily life and how they want to be as a person.
Okay, thank you.
Emily, throughout time, you know, we started out with this family where it was mom, dad, children, and I think 1950s, Andy Griffith, you know, everything's wonderful and awesome. But over time, culture has changed. Have you done any research within your paper that demonstrates that change and how it actually affected culturally to what we're sitting in today, our culture that we sit in today?
I actually didn't do any specific research on that, but in my opinion, I feel like just the ideals of what we're living for just changed as like a nation, and changed from even like how it's being led now has nothing to do with parenting, but all the ideals of the country have kind of just shifted in a way that they shouldn't be like that anymore. And I feel like that just affects everything. Like we've had lack of religion, which has also affected the daily lives of everybody in a negative way. And I believe that if we start bringing like Christianity back from a higher standpoint, then it'll just be positively affect even parenting, because it'll be looked at from a Christian standpoint rather than a worldly standpoint.
Thank you.
Would any of Emily's classmates, anybody from the audience, any questions for Emily?
So you said that it's not good for a therapist to replace a parent. Do you believe in a parent figure in somebody's life, say a coach or something? Could you just tell me about that a little bit?
So are you asking like how if they were trying to play a parent role?
Yeah, like does a coach, like a parent figure in a kid's life, does that play an important role?
That's a good question.
I would say like 100% yes, because I mean if we're talking about athletes with coaches, like they are a higher authority, so they can view how a child like views themselves, and that could like really either negatively affect their lives or positively affect their lives. And just like a parent, like harsh words would affect them or great words would uplift them, it is important to like make that child trust you to where they can feel like they can talk with you about anything they would need to. So I feel like the environment that coach staff does provide would have to be a safe environment so the child can like healthily grow. Yes, ma'am.
I was trying to think of a good way to word it, but do you think that the emphasis that we've had in modern history on everybody accessing higher education and the increasing number of women in full-time vocation plays a large effect on like parents being present? Because it seems like there's like an increasing busyness in the world, especially kind of compounded in more recent generations. We don't emphasize a lot of either parent being at home, particularly in younger kids' years, but then when they are home, it feels like everybody kind of has their brain somewhere else. Like, again, I don't have like a specific question on that, but did you feel like that some of your research was kind of leaning towards some cultural influences, and do you think that's specific to an American culture versus other places that are better at this, or do you think that's, worsened or better over time?
Okay, I don't know if this has anything to do with what you're asking, so I apologize. But I believe that this world is like more stressed out, if that makes sense. And I feel like that has a big thing to do with this, because even my life, this whole year, this whole year I've been kind of stressed out about this. So, so I get, and that had to do with my home life too. I got in trouble a lot because I was short with my parents. So, and I believe that like it could be the opposite way around too, like with parents being short with their child because of how their day at work went. And maybe that can just have to do with maybe putting work and home aside, which is way easier said than done, but it takes work at it. But I feel like it'll be worth in the end when we get to come home and just and take a break from the world and just be with your family, because those are the people you can truly have your guard down with.
Emily, you've done such a good job doing all of this.